I know what you are thinking. Something moved in the garden last night. You heard it before you saw it. A rustling, a snuffling, something low to the ground making its way through the flower beds in the dark. You turned on the porch light and caught a glimpse of something small and round moving along the edge of your lawn before it disappeared into the shadows. And your first instinct, completely reasonable, is to wonder whether you should be concerned. Whether something has moved in, that should not be there. Whether you need to do something about it. Before you do anything at all, I need you to stop for one moment. Because the animal that visited your yard last night is one of the most valuable things that could possibly show up on your property. And most people have no idea what its presence is actually telling them. The hedgehog, between 150 and 300 spines covering its back, a snout built specifically for rooting through soil and leaf litter, and a nightly hunting range that can cover up to 2 miles of ground in a single evening. That is the animal in your garden, a highly mobile, highly specialized predator that has been operating in the ecosystem surrounding human settlements for millions of years, and whose decision to pass through your yard at night carries more information about the health of your outdoor space than almost any other indicator you could find. Today, we are going to look at exactly what a hedgehog is doing when it visits your property, what its presence is telling you, and why the correct response to finding one is something very different from what most people assume. Let's start with what the hedgehog is actually doing when it moves through your yard in the dark, because this is the part that surprises nearly everyone. Hedgehogs are insectivores. This is not a casual dietary preference. It is the core biological function of the animal, the ecological role it has occupied for tens of millions of years. A single hedgehog foraging through a garden in one night can consume a staggering volume of invertebrates. Documented estimates from wildlife researchers in the United Kingdom, where hedgehog behavior has been studied extensively, suggest a foraging hedgehog will consume beetles, earwigs, millipedes, caterpillars, and slugs in quantities that would take a gardener hours of manual effort to replicate. It moves along the base of hedgerows, through leaf piles, under shrubs, and across open lawn, pressing its snout into the soil and locating prey by smell with a level of precision that no garden tool comes close to matching. The slug alone should be enough to make you feel differently about a hedgehog visiting your yard. Slugs cause an enormous amount of damage to vegetable gardens, flower beds, and young seedlings. Gardeners spend significant money every year on pellets, traps, and copper barriers trying to manage slug populations with limited and often temporary success. It also takes the eggs. Slug eggs are small, clustered, and buried just below the surface of moist soil. A foraging hedgehog finds and consumes them during normal rooting activity. That is not something a copper strip accomplishes. That is generational pest control happening at ground level in the dark while you sleep. Now, here is where the information becomes even more useful. A hedgehog does not visit random locations by accident. Hedgehogs are creatures of established habit. They develop and memorize regular routes through their home range, returning to the same gardens, the same gaps in fences, the same patches of sheltered ground across multiple nights and multiple seasons. If a hedgehog visited your yard last night, there is a strong probability it has visited before. It knows your garden. It selected it. The reason it selected it is the same reason it returns. Your outdoor space contains the conditions it needs: ground cover, leaf litter, soil with a living invertebrate community beneath the surface. The presence of a hedgehog is a signal. It means your garden has something worth coming back for, and what it has worth coming back for is an ecosystem functioning well enough to support the prey base a predator depends on. The hedgehog on your lawn is a wild animal with highly refined sensory equipment, telling you, by its presence alone, that your garden supports life beneath the surface at a level that justifies repeated attention. A garden with compacted, chemically treated, invertebrate depleted soil does not attract hedgehogs. A living garden does. If you are seeing one regularly, your outdoor space is doing something right, even if you did not know it. Here's the part most people are never told, and it is the part that matters most if you want to understand what you are actually looking at when a hedgehog appears. Hedgehog populations across Europe have declined severely over the past several decades. Numbers in the United Kingdom alone have dropped by an estimated one-third since the year 2000. The causes are well documented: habitat fragmentation from closed garden boundaries, loss of connected green corridors between urban spaces, the widespread use of pesticides that reduce invertebrate populations and remove the food source hedgehogs depend on entirely. Road mortality, increasingly tidy garden management that eliminates the log piles, leaf heaps, and rough edges that hedgehogs use for shelter, nesting, and overwintering. The hedgehog in your garden is not just a welcome visitor, it is a species under measurable pressure. Its presence in your yard means your property sits inside or adjacent to a connected habitat corridor where hedgehogs can still move, still feed, and still survive. That is not a common thing. That is something to recognize for exactly what it is. What is the hedgehog not doing in your yard? It is not damaging your plants. Hedgehogs do not eat roots, bulbs, or vegetation in any meaningful way. They are not digging up your lawn for sport. The shallow rooting you might notice is the incidental result of snout-to-ground foraging for invertebrates, not destructive behavior. They are not aggressive. A hedgehog that curls into a ball when approached is not attacking. It is deploying its only defensive mechanism, presenting the spines outward and waiting for the perceived threat to pass. It has no interest in you, your pet's food left outside, or your stored materials. It wants ground-level invertebrates and access to water. That is the entirety of what it is looking for on your property. If you want to understand whether the hedgehog is passing through occasionally or actively using your garden as a regular route, there is a straightforward method. A shallow tray of fresh water left near the edge of a flower bed will attract a returning hedgehog reliably on warm nights. Hedgehogs become dehydrated quickly during dry summer months, and access to standing water in a garden is one of the primary factors that determines whether a hedgehog incorporates a space into its regular circuit. That is your confirmation. Your garden is on the route. There are specific things you can do to make your property more viable for a hedgehog that has already found it. The most impactful single action is a 15-centimeter gap at the base of any solid garden fence or wall. Hedgehogs cannot pass through solid boundaries, and a garden enclosed on all sides by solid fencing is inaccessible regardless of how suitable the habitat inside is. One gap in one panel connects your space to the wider network of green corridors a hedgehog uses to complete its nightly range. Beyond that, a small pile of leaves in a sheltered corner beneath a shrub or along a fence line provides the structural material a hedgehog will use to construct a nest. Leaving a section of lawn unmowed long enough to accumulate natural ground cover beneath it increases the invertebrate population available for foraging. If a hedgehog appears in your yard during daylight hours, that is a different situation and one that warrants genuine attention. A hedgehog active and visible in full daylight is typically an animal in distress. It may be injured, dehydrated, or suffering from a parasitic load it cannot manage. A hedgehog found in this condition should be placed in a cardboard box with air holes, a towel for warmth, and a shallow dish of water. And contact should be made with a local wildlife rescue organization as quickly as possible. A healthy hedgehog visiting your garden will do so after dark, move purposefully, and be gone before morning. That is normal. That is exactly what it should look like. Have you found a hedgehog in your yard at night? Or noticed signs that one has been visiting regularly without ever seeing it directly? Share your experience in the section below. I review all of them.